Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to tell you about my recent adventure playing in Canada, how I got the gig, how I prepared for it, and how it went down there. Let's get it started. So recently I did a trip to Canada and specifically to Montreal where I played at Stereobar. I've heard only good stories about Stereobar from many of the DJs that I follow on Instagram and that play there, and I'm honored that I could experience myself that venue. If you follow me on Instagram, you have seen some posts about my trip to Canada, but in this video I want to share the full story. Let's talk about how I got a gig in Canada, because you might wonder if I have a booking agency, if clubs promoters book me directly. Actually, it was none of that, because for this gig, as for other gigs that I got, it was thanks to a member of the Minimal Improvement community, which by the way is the sponsor of this video. In this specific case, it was thanks to Brian Kuda, who's a DJ, producer and resident DJ at Stereobar. We've known each other for a year now. He's been part of the Minimal Improvements community. We had some one-to-one sessions together. When he told me that he would have loved me to play at Stereobar, I was not believing it, because you know I never had a gig overseas. I didn't know if that was possible to make happen, but in the end he made it happen, and I'm super grateful to him for this. And I'm also grateful to the booker of Stereobar who trusted Brian and got me playing there. I've landed in Canada. Now, for those of you who know me for a while, you know that DJing is not the core of my business. I love digging, I love DJing, I love playing, but I'm definitely not out there playing every weekend. The reason why I tell you this is that for DJs that make a living out of DJing, when they go play overseas, they usually try to have more than one gigs in order to cover the expenses and bring home some revenue. In my case, I'm lucky enough that I don't rely on DJ for making a living, and honestly I'm grateful for this, because DJing is a very tough world and tough life. But anyway, so even if I had just that gig at Stereobar, I saw that more like an adventure, a life experience, a way to make new friends, a way to get out of the studio after 8 months that I don't take a vacation, and to go there and experience life in a different way. So even if it was just for a one gig, for me it was totally worth it. That being said, unfortunately I'm not a millionaire, so we had to keep the expenses low, and so I started to look for a cheap flight, and also we had to think about an accommodation. Price for the flight was okay. I spent in total around 600 euros. So yeah, I think it was a good deal. The drama was finding the hotel, because that weekend there is the F1 Grand Prix in Montreal, and so it's a big weekend, you know, a lot of people go there for the race, and so hotels are freaking expensive. So if I show you what are the prices right now for the weekend ahead, there we go. So you can see 1,000, 1,600, 1,800. So, you know, it's a bit too expensive. In the end, Brian was so kind to have me as a guest at his amazing apartment, and I think besides, you know, keeping the expenses low, this was the best thing that we could do, because I could experience the whole thing about Montreal, about being with people from that place, about going around with him, making me learn about the city. So it was definitely the most amazing experience and most amazing accommodation that I could find. We have the best pizza in town.
The best pizza in town. It's uncut, meaning that you can cut it with a scissor very properly. It's just so simple and effective.
This is the best satisfaction in the world.
You see this? So simple.
While we was setting up the trip, I also started to curate the music and prepare for the gig. Alright guys, so it's 1 week to the gig. I have finally decided to purchase all the tracks that I had in my Bandcamp and Beatport cards. I might buy some more tracks in the next days, but this is the big batch. At a certain point you need to start, learning the tracks that you bought. So today is Wednesday, it's 2 days until I leave for Canada. So I've downloaded a ton of new music and I'm just testing it out now. I'm playing not just to test the new one, but I'm whoa, Jesus. Yeah, so I can see if the music that I downloaded is working. I can see which tracks are not that good to be played. Usual thing that most of the DJs already know how it works. I'm also recording because recording helps me to listen back, see how I mixed, see which tracks work well together, which one are not working. So it's a very useful way to evaluate better your mix. Sometimes I notice that I think something is good and then I listen back and it's bad. Other times I think I mixed like shit and when I listen back the recording actually it's not that bad. So it's really good to listen back also because I'm not in a good acoustical environment and so on. On top of this amazing adventure that I was going to have in Montreal, I have a close friend of mine who works in F1, and so he was going to be in Montreal as well for the F1 race weekend. So I invited him at the gig and he also told me about the possibility of getting 2 passes for getting at the F1 race, which even if I'm not a F1 enthusiast, of course I was excited about it, but he told me that that wasn't 100% guaranteed. I arrived in Montreal the Friday night and that night we chilled at home, we didn't go out, but the Saturday, despite my jet lag, we decided to have the most out of the day and so we went visit the city. Brian took me to the downtown, he took me to the port, which is a typical area with a lot of restaurants, with a lot of shops, and then we decided to go to attend this immersive experience at a show called Oasis Immersion. On the Saturday night we had the show, and so before going to the club we went to Brian's friend's house and we stayed there a bit and then we went to the club at 10 p.m. Now here it's a bit different in Montreal compared to Europe. In Europe we know that clubs open around midnight and they go on until 6 in the morning, 9 in the morning depending. In Montreal, Brian told me that most of the clubs have to close down at 3 a.m. apart from some clubs who have particular permissions. For example, Stereo, the big club above Stereobar, can stay open later, but they can't sell alcohol, for example. Stereobar have to close at 3 a.m. So the warm-up for Brian started at 10 p.m. Then people started to show up around 10:30, 11. And by the time I started playing, which was around midnight and something, the club was full. So I was very happy. Another particular thing of Stereobar is that they have a no phone policy. So people don't use phone on the dance floor, and this was super cool because everybody was dancing, they were enjoying the night, and you couldn't see people on their phone or people taking videos, which from a promotional side of the DJ can be a downside, but for the experience of the night I think it's really a great thing. I have a couple of videos that Brian took me while I was playing, but for the respect of the club policy I don't want to post them on YouTube, or I didn't post them on my Instagram. Just trust me, it was a great night. So we finished playing.
That was incredible.
We had fun.
Oh my god, yes. That was so cool.
Kind of wasted right now. But we came to do our job. The rest is...
the job was very well done.
Okay.
Very well done.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Super club. Guys, come to Montreal and enjoy this amazing scene and people. Another thing that I surely have to talk about is how cool is the club. The sound system is incredible. You have these two speakers on top of the DJ booth that point to the DJ, and so you can experience a crazy sound in the DJ booth, and of course also in the dance floor. You have this nice bar on the right, another one on the back. Very curated place. I really enjoyed playing there. I don't have a long list of clubs where I played, but this for sure is first, definitely.
Feeling fresh, Brian?
Very fresh.
Fresh.
Ce soir dans la pénombre, tu me regardes et moi je veux tenir ta main.
So my friend in the end managed to get us 2 paddock passes, which is the best experience that you can have if you are an F1 enthusiast, because you get the chance to go in the area where the teams are. You can stay in the garage during the race and see the team, what they are doing, how they are organizing during the race, when they change their wheels. So guys, it was an incredible experience. Then we could go in the pit stop area and we could walk around, we could see the cars. It was crazy. We were freaking out that day. So this was like the cherry on top of the experience, you know.
This was the guy that made everything possible. Say hi to the camera.
Monday was my last day in Montreal, so we took drive to the Montreal hill, I think it's called. It was this super nice short hike on the top of the hill from where you can see the whole city. After that we went to another neighborhood called Plateau, where there are, it reminds me a little bit of, you know, some very picturesque neighborhood in London, for example. Then we went to a record shop, and last thing we went to eat to what Brian thinks is the best poutine restaurant. Poutine is a very typical food of Montreal.
The best poutine in town, according to Brian.
It really is.
After that, Brian took me to the airport. I have no more footage of what happened next, because simply we went to the airport, took the flight, came back home. What can I say? As I told you at the beginning, when Brian told me about this opportunity, I thought it was something I couldn't miss, and I'm so happy I went. I made new friends, I made a new experience. I played in such a great club. I learned a lot of things about another culture. This is traveling for me. That's the story of this Canada trip. Thanks guys for watching the video. Thanks Brian for making it possible. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do more of these videos when there is the chance, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.